Lesson 2.6, Pythagorean Theorem, applications, diagrams provided, meaning today the pictures are there, tomorrow you get to draw them. Now, what you're going to be able to do after today, well, this is more so after tomorrow as far as the drawing the diagram, that'll be tomorrow. You'll use the Pythagorean Theorem to solve real world problems. Now, here we have a picture, and this picture is of a sheet of paper, just like your notes. This is actual size of your note paper right here, 8.5 by 11. Now we know that the diagonal, if you were to fold it on the corners, that has to be what? Bigger. This side is the longest side. So like I told you, the first thing you want to do on your diagrams today is label them. Our A, our B, and our C. What is our diagonal here? Which one of these is our C? Which one? The blue line, the diagonal, right? This is our what? C, which is also known as? Hypotenuse. What do you want to label this one?
A.
This one? B. Those two touch and make up the right angle. These two, A and B, are our what? Legs. Now that we have it labeled, this will help you so you don't get them wrong. You know what to put in for each letter. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. What's my A?
8.5.
So we have 8.5 squared plus, what's my B? 11 squared equals C squared. Now that could be C. You'll see later in our notes, this might be labeled X. It might be labeled L. Doesn't matter. It's still technically the C in our Pythagorean theorem. All right. Now, what is 8.5 squared? 72.25. Here's another mistake people make, 72.25, because we've been saying round to the nearest tenth. Well, people are round this to the nearest tenth, 72.3 in this part of the problem. Should we do any rounding here? No. Plus, what's 11 squared?
121.
121 equals C squared. We don't want to do any rounding until we get into our final answer. So add these together, what do I get?
193.25.
0.25, good, and we don't round it yet because that's not our final answer. Equals, and then a lot of people are just bringing it down saying C, and they'll circle their answer. You're not done yet. That's still what? C squared. Now we have one more step to do. We need to find the square root of each. What is the square root of C squared? C equals, rounded to the nearest tenth, class, is
13.9.
13.9. And now, what's very important today? Today, these are real world problems and applications. We have information about them. Therefore, when they're word problems, world problems, we need to do what to our answer? Label it. So, how long is our piece of paper or our notes from each corner to each corner?
13.9 inches.
Inches. They are 13.9 inches. So if you had a tape measure and you measured that sheet of paper on your desk, it will be exactly 13.9 inches. How long will it be from here to here? 13.9. They are the same, right? Now, I'm going to throw in a little tidbit here about your worksheets on the back page of your worksheet today, page 2. They'll have a triangle like this for you. And they'll have the height, and they'll have a right angle here. And they'll have this be labeled the H. They might say that this is an isosceles triangle, meaning that two sides are equal. And each of these are 10 inches. And then we know that the base here, the whole base here is 22 inches. What is my C? First of all, what would be the C?
10 inches.
22.
The C, which one is opposite of the right angle?
I think it's 10.
10.
It is 10. This would be my C from this for this triangle. But we also have it could be the C if we were using this side. It doesn't matter what side we use. All right? We want to find the H here. What else do I know? I know my C. Do I know my A?
Yeah, 22 inches. Yeah, it is.
This whole thing you want to be your A?
Oh, 11.
Oh, good, because this is the one on your worksheet. You have to cut this in half, divide it by 2. What do you get?
11.
Each side here is 11 inches. So that's what you have to figure out. You have to cut it in half on one of those on the back side of your worksheet. Then the last one on your worksheet, it's the opposite. You find this, and then you have to take it times 2 to tell me what the base of the whole thing is. So that's on page 2 of your worksheet today. Little hints. All right. First thing we're going to do is label it. This is a building, and we have a ladder that's 12 feet long, leaning against the ladder. It is 4 feet from the building on the base. How tall is this building? Let's label. First thing we should do is label the hypotenuse. What do you want to be the hypotenuse?
12.
Right, because here's our right angle. 12 is our hypotenuse, so let's give that our C, and then these are A and our B's. The first thing you want to do, and it's always easiest to find the C first and give the other two your A and your B. Now, do I know my A?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is what?
4.
4 squared plus, I don't know my B, so B squared equals 12 squared. Show all your work in your notes, hold your answer up on your board. I think the mistake here, what is 4 squared?
16.
16. I was getting some 8s out there. So 16 plus B squared equals 12 squared is 144. Now, how do I get this 16 read over here?
Minus.
The minus, subtract 16 to both sides. So now I have B squared equals,
128.
yep, 128. I had some of you hold a 128 up. You would only get half credit because you were half done. Square root of each. B equals,
11.3.
yep, 11.3, and you were awesome about labeling it. I don't think I forgot anybody. Feet. So, that building is 11.3 feet tall. We just figured that out. Next one. Label it A, B, and C. First thing we need to do is label it A, B, and C. Find the C first. Which one's the C?
L.
The L. So do you want to leave it an L or do you want to change it to a C?
Change to C.
Okay, C it is. What do you want the 5 to be?
A.
And B. Alrighty, plug them in then. 5 squared plus 60 squared equals C squared. Let's see how long this handicap accessible ramp would be in real life. If it was 60 feet long and it was built up 5 feet to get into the door here of that building. What is 5 squared?
1.5.
Good. Plus 60 squared?
3,600.
Add these together, 3,625. Need to find the square root of each of these. C equals, what did you get?
60.2.
60.2 what? Feet. That's how long that handicapped accessible ramp would be here. All right? Now, the last one for today. This is kind of like the one I was giving you hints about in a way. What do we want to do first?
4.9.
Label.
Okay, label what?
Label.
What should we do first? The,
Legs.
no,
C.
C. Let's do the C first. Which one is it?
S.
S?
Yeah.
9. 9.
Which one's,
4.5.
which one's opposite the right angle?
9.
9. This one does not connect or touch the right angle, so this is your C, your hypotenuse. Now, here's our A and our B. They're telling us that this is an isosceles right triangle. So that means an isosceles has, these are the two right or the congruent sides. They're equal. So they're telling us that the A and the B are in an S for this side and this side. So we could go, since they're the same, we could really go A squared plus A squared equals C squared, couldn't we? Because they're the same, right? Or we could go B squared plus B squared equals C squared, because these are isosceles, they're the same. They labeled them S, so S squared plus S squared equals C squared. Same thing. Let's work with this one when they labeled them an S for the sides, because those sides are equal. How many sides do I have? What's assumed here? Assumed ones in front of those S squared. So how many S squareds do I have? 2. I have 2 S squareds. And that equals C squared. Now what do I have to do before I can solve this one? Yeah, pretend that squared isn't there. If I had 2S equals whatever, what would I do? Do I know my C squared, by the way? Whoops, I forgot to fill that one in.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. We need to fill this in. Just back up a titch. What was our C squared? 9, because we know what our C is. So it's 9 squared. What is 9 squared? 81. There we go. Now that looks a little better. Now this is a simple one-step equation if it wasn't squared. What would I do to solve this? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide? Because this is 2 times S squared. So what do I do to solve this?
Divide by 2.
Divide both sides by 2. Good. Get your answer labeled, hold it up. If you have the right answer, you can come up here and get your homework packet and start on page 1 and 2 in the packet. Good. So then you take this divided by 2, you're going to get S squared equals, what was 81 divided by 2? 40.5, but that's not your final answer. You had to do what?
Find the square root.
Yes, you had to find the square root still. It's still a squared. Even though it's not an A or a C or a B, it's still squared. So S equals, you hit your square root button, round it to the nearest tenth, 6.4, and it was labeled meters. All right, you can start your packet, pages 1 and 2. Do it tomorrow.